We're the Meltdown here with yet another episode review of Season 2 of House of the Dragon. This is Episode 6, and I believe it is called Small Folk.
That is correct.
Yes, and they are playing an important role for sure there in King's Landing and the things that are happening. I am Meltdown host Tim Melton. That is Meltdown co-host Mr. John Lunsford. And we also have a full panel with producer Tyler here on yet another episode review. And we've got Rockstar back in the saddle as he's looking to ride this dragon all the way to the finish line.
If he'll let me.
Yeah. Didn't really quite work out for Sir Stefan Darkling.
I've done it.
Darklin, I should say, who got toasted after he bravely agreed to jump on that dragon, but didn't quite work out for him. He was a little overconfident, Rockstar, with his "I've done it" phrase.
Yeah.
At that point, we knew things were going to turn south.
Yeah, it was a little rough. And I knew, for some reason, when she brought him in, I was like, this guy just doesn't have the look. He looks like a guy that's going to die. He does. Like, when she brought him in, like, with his face, and I was like, it's just this. I was telling my wife, I was like, this guy's, he's not going to make it. And I knew it was going to happen. I was like, this is going to be one and done.
Your bet was correct. The plan is how we ended episode 5, the plan being hatched, and we have some dragons being hatched. We have all sorts of things happening here. And John, it didn't quite go well trying to jump on the back of Sea Smoke there.
I prefer it as, wait, who is that guy again? Oh, he's definitely dying because I don't remember exactly who that person is. No, it didn't go well. And this is one of those things that a couple episodes in, kind of looking ahead in the book, that I was looking forward to, the kind of testing of things, because it seems like you can keep shaking your head. It's happened now. I mean, I'm not spoiling anything, but knowing that
we're just bracing ourselves. We're strapping the seatbelt on for the master of spoilers to make his debut here,
and knowing that he was going to not quite make it. But when he took one step further and he said, "I've done it," and he hadn't even touched the dragon yet, much less boarded the dragon and actually riding it through the air, it's like, you haven't done anything yet. I don't know how he was going to die. I just knew he was going to die. And then, that was not played out super well for him. And, I am interested to see the Sea Smoke aspects of it now with Adam.
Adam
I forget which one's which. With Adam riding him, because I thought that scene kind of played out well with the dragon chasing him around and everything, to finally be like, hey, you're my guy, not this random Kingsguard guy that they brought to for me to kill.
I do feel like Sir Stefan Darkland got a bad rap because he's told, like, show no fear. Mm-hmm. Don't do anything to cause this beast to be afraid by your amount of fear.
But they all look scared, including the people who do this every single time.
Well, yes, they're all terrified, but Adam of Hull's literally running around the forest terrified of this thing. Yeah. I'm just wondering how much that's really a part of the training manual. What did you think of this scene? Yeah. What did you think of this scene that a lot of people are making How to Train Your Dragon references online? What'd you make of this trying to board a dragon to even the odds for Team Black?
Man, Sir Stefan, he's been watching our CFB 25 playthroughs. He notices I celebrate before I hit the end zone. I get tackled every time. That's what happened to him.
A big tackle.
Hey, you brought it up, not me, but this is way more sort of FC 24 or whatever, with how.
No comment.
You get a little celebratory there before maybe the actual plan is carried through. Okay, we won't get into that. Some raw territory there. Let's get into this. And the High Sept, Alicent, and her daughter, the Queen, are rushed out by their knights as they have people going insane in King's Landing. These are hungry people. These are starved people. Larys has tried to warn about the uprising that could take place in King's Landing. That uprising starts to take place.
Got called a toad.
It leads to a massive security failure there. What do you make of the uprising that we're seeing there in King's Landing? Has it been effective in really getting across just how deprived these citizens are, and as they look to the kingdom for added security and protection, Rockstar?
I'm glad to see that somehow you're getting the story with the dude, with the wife with the sick child.
Hugh Hammer?
Yeah, Hugh Hammer. They're finally, I guess, putting his storyline in, because you keep going to him every episode. I love how many lambs does it take to feed a dragon when they say
a lot.
I mean, because it really didn't look like that much to me. It looked like 8 lambs, and they got like how many dragons do they have?
That's just lunch, though.
That's what I'm saying. Like you can feed them, but you can't feed us. Yeah, that's got to suck, and I have the city pretty much locked up. Aemon is a dick. Like you thought Aegon was bad, like this guy. I mean, but they're so deprived by their mother, and I love like just everything.
But
he is ruthless.
Okay, he may be ruthless,
At
but
least
is
he's
he
doing
efficient?
something.
Yes.
Is he efficient?
Well, yes.
Because he didn't fall for Larys's bait of trying to become Hand of the King. He didn't fall for that.
Oh, I wouldn't accept. I feel honored, but I wasn't talking about that toad.
Did that make you uncomfortable saying that?
Oh no, the most uncomfortable part was him telling his mother to get off. Like, you're done. You're no longer you need something to do more domestic.
Yeah.
And he's like, you're really like just her touching his face and him like pulling her hand. I was like, because she shows no emotion to her kids. And then I had no idea they had another son, or she had another son that doesn't speak to her. I had no idea about that.
I think Otto had mentioned going back and visiting with that son.
Yeah, I kept trying to remember.
And who's the
surely this
father?
has been mentioned at some point.
Is Viserys the father?
I
No,
don't think
this
so, no.
sounds like a kid she had before they
Okay.
came to King's Landing, or before she came to King's Landing. Maybe
'Cause there's
I
a
don't
lot.
know.
There's
but
a lot of different.
not Viserys.
And I was telling John last week because my sister-in-law was in town and she hadn't seen it, so she wanted to watch the first episode of the first season. And Otto had a son. Remember that Damon, when they were doing the jousting thing, he cheated and clubbed his horse. He didn't die or anything, but that was it. You never heard of him again. Like, that was Allison's brother. We've never heard from that guy again.
We do get more of a backstory on
Gwaine.
Gwaine, who becomes a little bit more of a sympathetic character in this episode. Would you agree with that, John, with talking about his backstory and basically being neglected from the love of his parents?
I don't
Everybody's neglected.
Yeah.
Every single character gets a chance to present more of their backstory in this episode.
Right.
I mean, almost every character has a monologue talking about whether it's Larys or Massaria or Gwaine or, I mean, there's a lot of them.
I don't really feel sorry for a lot of the Hightowers and Team Green.
I know that you're biased, but I guess I'm asking, do you feel like it was effective storytelling by having Gwaine present his backstory as he heads off to war yet again, maybe to never see his sister?
Build the whole family up. You know, it makes it more sympathetic and understanding of the whole family and the Hightower name that ultimately is leading the Greens, even though they carry the Targaryen crest. It's really them doing it. Otto has been in control of all of this from day one. Alicent is the one that's there. Gwaine is, you know, I'm waiting for some kind of, storyline with Gwaine and Sir Criston running off together. I mean, because they're always together. There's just, it does help to kind of set this more of the stage of the Hightowers, but especially with Otto coming back into the fold, I assume next week, because that's who he sent Larys off to get.
Tyler, what do you think of Aegon? He's slowly recovering from his wounds. He's coming
Recovering?
to... Yeah.
Well, he's breathing.
I mean, he's not dead, so
He's awake. Kind
He's
of.
not getting
I don't know
worse.
if
He only
that's it.
sleeps 9 out of 10 hours. So
He's not getting worse.
That's true. He's awake for that 1 hour.
I
That's a
said
painful
slowly recovering. Hey, that's what that is.
better than being awake no hours, I guess.
I mean, I see it as like no progress, but to each their own.
Is it?
This is the first time we've seen him open his eyes, have a conversation, be emotional.
Conversation.
I mean,
also, does he know that his dragon's dead? Is there like a huge mourning process if your dragon dies?
Dragon's not dead.
I thought they took his head off.
no,
That was
the other.
right.
That
That
was
Rhaenys'.
I was going to say, like, what's the mourning period if your dragon
Melissa's
dies
dead.
before you and all that stuff?
I think
There's just
Sunfire
so
is
much
still
going on.
alive. I think
Okay.
Sunfire is still alive. Not confirmed dead, at least. But what do you make of whatever state that we have Aegon currently in, Tyler? As we won't get into the semantics of it, but what do you think?
Not good.
What do you think of his role moving forward? Because everyone seems to still want to use him as a pawn in his current state.
It's tough because he is not fit to be king, even if he makes a full recovery, speedy recovery. He's not. He doesn't have the image of a king. He would probably have to wear that mask that Viserys was wearing towards the end of season 1, and then they said they bound his legs. So his days as nobility are done, and I think that'll just let Aemon take over because
Aemon's not giving it up.
Yeah, he's not giving up the power, and Aegon was just sort of just a figurehead anyway. He wasn't doing anything.
Aemond obviously put Aegon's life at risk with the tactics that he used in that dragon fight, but he's also putting a lot of other lives at risk, including that of Sir Criston Cole, which I think will lead to celebration once he is dispatched of. I know John and the Lunsford household will be very excited to see Sir Criston Cole off the board.
We ain't the only ones.
But Sir Criston Cole's headed off to battle. Doesn't really have much of a conversation with Alicent this time, Rockstar. It's more like a nod and a goodbye. Yep. And it seems like they're on sort of rocky foundation right now.
I don't think they've had a scene alone together in a while. Not just their action
it's
scenes.
Pretty much been the council is the only time they've been together. I guess they had there was that one scene I guess where he's cleaning his sword. He talked to Alicent then.
Yeah. I
guess that was it. But the best thing is as she talked to Gwaine and then Kristen kind of looked at him sad, oh, she's not coming to talk to me. And he rode off on his horse. And I was like, thank God, another episode. We're not going to have to end with the two of them doing things in bed with each other.
Well, the other question I had is when Aemond gets with Aegon to let him know that nothing happened, he gives him his little marble. What was the significance of that?
I'll tell you what I think the significance of that is. At some point, he's going to walk in there and use that thing. Yeah. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe
they showed it like three separate times. Like, okay, I get it. He has this little marble, but I
kind of took it as Aegon didn't really know what was going on necessarily, and so it was like, hey, I'm the captain now, kind of thing. Like, this is my marble. Like, this
we're
is
not
the king's
gonna need
marble.
this in that room any longer. So you just stay in here and play with your own marble.
Every time Aemond does a
Yep.
Yeah, not much of a conversation. It's just kind of grunting.
Okay, we got to talk about Daemon and what he's going through.
I'm ready for that storyline to be done.
Can that storyline please end?
Look, I got it, and it's taking away some of the significance of some of these characters that are being brought back. This time we see King Viserys come back, and while I think the interplay is good, this is very much worn out. You take what is arguably the most interesting character of season 1, and you sideline them the entire time in Luigi's Mansion in season 2. And a lot of people are getting a little
Luigi's
bit.
Mansion.
A lot of people are getting a little tired of this because it's the same gimmick every week. However, the goal of it is supposed to show that he's descending into madness. However, this time around, he actually has a breakthrough.
Yes.
He actually, all his patience has played to his benefit, and it looks like he's going to be able to have his conquests in the Riverlands that he wants. I don't think next week is going to go as easy for Daemon as he would like, especially since he kind of got off on the wrong foot here with the young man who is now going to be the person that he needs to orchestrate the power play he needs to raise his army. But it is going to be quite interesting to see this politicking play out. What do you make of his relationship here with the witch and what took place to then in 3 days give him the type of development that he needs to have an end to dominate the Riverlands and build up an army, John?
I just thought he's finally leaving. He walked out like, I'm going to get on my dragon and get out of here. I'm tired of all these visions. And then she stops him. And he's like, no, we were so close. All he had to do was walk like 5 more feet through that door and he would have been gone and we would have lost this storyline forever. I'm ready for this to play out however it's going to play out. I know Harrenhal is kind of the, place that a lot of this takes place because it's kind of the battle that we're slowly building towards. More so than I guess building towards King's Landing is building more towards there. I'm just ready to actually get there, and the more we can do to actually get there. And I'm sitting there watching this, like, Viserys has done more than Daemon has in this episode, and he's been dead for the last, year and a half. Like, I'm just ready for everything with Daemon to be, I'm badass Daemon on my dragon, burning people and fighting in battle, not just I'm in Luigi's Mansion, as you call it.
Getting woken up by Friar Tuck every single time.
Yes.
I think the biggest complaint from people who either like the show, don't like the show, whatever it may be, is that the pacing for this, they're having to stretch a couple things because they've guaranteed there's going to be a season 3. HBO knows that there's money left on the table by not producing more seasons of this show. It's over with the crowd. And Daemon feels like he's the biggest victim of this strategy of we just have to sort of plot him here, anchor him down, and tie him to this storyline that a lot of people are tired of. Even seeing Viserys back, and I like Viserys, and I like, is it Paddy Constantine, who's the actor behind this? He does a fantastic job in this role, but it does feel like we're taking multiple steps back narratively compared to pushing the story forward, and that can be very frustrating, Tyler.
Yes, for the past, I guess 3-4 episodes probably, it's just been acid trip, scene with Millie Alcock from season 1, Rhaenyra, and then the scene with Viserys. We're gonna see Daemon's entire childhood play out,
And
but
Daemon,
from different perspectives.
yeah, and Daemon seeing himself with an eye patch.
It's
here's the other thing with Game of
I'm
Thrones.
so tired of this storyline.
Game of Thrones, like actual Game of Thrones, would go episodes without having characters on it, because there's so many storylines that like you could just skip past the character and you wouldn't necessarily feel like, oh, I'm missing out, because they'll get to it eventually and do a very good job of telling that story. Like I'm getting to the point now where it's like, if Damon's having his acid trip over there, I'm fine if you say he's continuing to have his acid trip and you mention it in passing that we got a Raven that he's still having his acid trip over there. Play out another part of the storyline that is, I'm not going to necessarily say more important, but more important to the viewer because it's something you want to actually see. And just an episode or two later, then it's like, oh yeah, Daemon like makes a triumphant return. It's like, you know, in a superhero movie when somebody's gone for an hour and then they come back, oh yeah, I forgot about them. They're going to come and help save the day too. I would almost rather it play out that way right now instead of just, oh, what other character are they going to try to bring back for this? Oh, yep, he's having an acid trip about this character now.
And it's because of that where you think it has to be important that these Harrenhal acid trips, Luigi's Mansion, has to be important somehow because they go to it every single episode.
And it's been 6 episodes now and hadn't seemed...
It hadn't seemed
like
making
world ending important necessarily.
That poor dragon.
There's a chance it maybe shows
Just
some of those
chilling in the parking lot.
those underlying motivations. Because what does it all tie back to? That he feels like he should be on the throne. That he feels like he was passed over. That he feels like he was wronged. And those motivations are coming out every single sequence. And he's willing to, it seems, turn against his queen in order to achieve those personal goals that he set long ago.
I almost feel like we got there though when they fought before he left. That he kind of still has that mindset, and yes, he is definitely acting that way to other people because he has told people,
right,
I'm going to be king. But I feel like we're there. Like we've been there for a little bit now.
I feel like we were already there in season 1.
We all agree that the most important relationship to get clarity on right now is Rhaenyra and Daemon. Do we agree that that is the secret sauce to figuring out what Team Black's future is going to look like? Because
or letting Jace leave the castle. My God, that kid.
Letting Jace do something.
Or Mysaria and Rhaenyra now, so who knows?
So let's talk about Rhaenyra. No one hates Daemon being at Harrenhal this long more than Rhaenyra does, as she shouted his name multiple times throughout this episode and is frustrated not knowing exactly how he can be used as a piece on the board in order to secure her victory over Team Green. But we get a little bit of steaminess between Rhaenyra and Mysaria as she continues to lean into Mysaria for guidance and now for physical and emotional support. And that was interrupted only to give an update on Sea Smoke and what's going on with that dragon as he is off trying to find his rider. But it appears as if Mysaria and Rhaenyra definitely have more than a professional bond at this point. And
I think Rhaenyra's getting played.
You think?
Yeah.
There's definitely...
I don't know what the angle is, but she's getting played.
These two... Rhaenyra should know by now not to trust anyone fully, but it does feel like she's letting her sort of primal instincts take over, and she's looking for that support when she feels like she has none from her small council. She slaps a member of her small council.
That was a good scene.
It was a very dramatic scene for sure. Rhaenyra has a little bit of that sort of Mad Queen vibe about her in this episode where she's like, look, I think you guys are underestimating just how vicious I can be because you're sort of mistaking my patience for apathy, and that is not something that you should be doing. I'm just simply lying in wait to attack, and I would go into battle if you guys would let me.
Yeah.
She feels like she's getting dinged on all sides.
And I think, what's her name? Mysteria? What's her name?
Mysaria.
When Rhaenyra had the sword, she's like, that suits you. It's like she's pushing her. You need to fight. You need to go. And she's got an angle.
In the episode.
But Mysaria's meal ticket is Rhaenyra, so it makes sense for her to actually want to see Rhaenyra achieve success because Mysaria doesn't have a lot of other plays right now.
And Mysaria definitely is playing for herself, but everything she has done has been an absolute win for Rhaenyra, sending the food, all of her spies.
Like, how did she get to be in charge of all that? Like her, like... The match has been lit or whatever she said.
Clearly they talked about it because Rhaenyra and Jace were talking and she came up and say, hey, our surprise has been given or whatever she said.
How did she get that together?
Like, they clearly had been talking about it and planned this, but she's in control of all that, and everything she has done to King's Landing so far has been a good and been a benefit.
She's a master of logistics.
Yeah.
She is, and look, she's still playing for herself, but she is also, I think, very Team Black more so than anything else right now.
I do feel like we're going to see sort of the sea attack become a more prevalent storyline here. Obviously, we have Alan, who's like, is this an order or is this a request?
That
He
damn
doesn't
boat.
know
Get it
whether or
ready.
not. They've been working on these boats
Oh my God.
for as long as Damon's been at Harrenhal.
It's
Longer
been-
than that.
And it doesn't look like it's improving. Like it doesn't look like it's ready.
Neither does Harrenhal.
And the only reason I at first couple episodes I was like, I don't get this aspect of the storyline other than obviously the Valerian name and Corliss and everything being integral to the story before, but these new people, I was like, what on earth? And then I looked ahead and saw the sea smoke aspect of this, that that's going to be his rider, and so I was like, okay, it makes a little more sense now. But once we get that point, then it's like, okay, now you got to get these boats in the water and do something with them. We're past the sea smoke aspect now because that's starting to play out and will continue to play out next week. But at some point, they're going to have to push that boat off the ground and actually do something.
A lot of times in Game of Thrones, it was episode 9 of 10 that packed the biggest punch. So that way we would get a reactionary episode. Are we going to see that this season? Do you think episode 7 is going to be the one that packs all the punch and episode 8 is going to be the reactionary? Or do you think it's going to be the opposite where we actually end on a huge battle in episode 8?
It will be in episode 8. I feel like it'll be end of episode 7 into beginning of episode 8 will be the battle that then you kind of have to have that, last 20, 30 minutes,
Yeah.
kind of like an epilogue almost leading into season 3. I don't like the whole 8-episode thing. Like, I know with Game of Thrones, they were doing 10 and then started backing it down for the last seasons because they started doing longer episodes. They were spending more money on it. You knew
But
they
it
were going
does
to
feel
be...
like they're already stretching. I'm not sure they could have made it to 10 episodes unless you want more nightmare sequences of Damon and Harrenhal.
They're stretching, but and I have not read the book. Master of Spoilers just looks at Wikipedia, but like it's...
Well, how many episodes do you think you can get out of it based on the Wikipedia article?
There's a lot more that they don't go into necessarily, and there's certain things that have been changed, at least based on what I've read. Just small little details, nothing like earth-shattering, but I just feel like you could have... There's one thing I feel like you could have made longer, and that is the battle that we saw 2 episodes ago with the dragons, because all you pretty much saw was the dragons. You didn't really see a lot of the ground battle. You kind of saw, they're going into battle. Oh, there's dragons. They're going to... Because the minute Rhaenys showed up, then Christian's like, come on, Aemon. Oh, wait, Aegon's here. And then it was all about that storyline more so than the actual like ground battle. So I feel like the other thing is we skipped completely past the Brackens and whoever fought, that at the beginning of that episode, it's these groups of kids yelling at each other about which side you should back. And then flash forward, everybody's dead. Like there's a whole battle there that you've skipped. So they've skipped a lot too.
Yeah.
I feel like that season 1 spanned a long time. So
It did.
I do wonder if you took season 1 and maybe stretched it a little bit, because you could have stretched season 1. That I know in hindsight you can't go back and do that, but I'm just saying in the grand scheme of things, this seems stretched with Daemon and all, but season 1 was hurried to where I feel like the pacing overall could have been done a little better to make 2 10-episode seasons as opposed to shortening this one, because then what's next season going to be? Because are we building to one massive battle next season that's only going to be 6 episodes like the final season of Game of Thrones was? I don't know.
We haven't seen King Viserys on screen in years. However, these characters haven't seen him in weeks, I guess, since...
I assume it's at least been a month now, but I don't know.
Season 1 to season 2, there's really no time jump at all. I do have to keep reminding myself that these are seasons that almost had no break in between the real-world setting in which they're in. And I do feel like that affects viewing a little bit, to constantly have to remind myself that not as much time has passed as I think has passed.
Not only that, but in season 1, between episodes, so in a span of a week real time, you jump 20 years.
Yeah.
Yes.
And now in this one, you're jumping
up.
20 minutes instead, and it's like, it's been a whole week. I've only jumped 20 minutes. It's the time is very weird. Now, I think they've done a good job with it, but the time has been very weird.
Rocky, which character gets on your nerves the very most if you were doing a Rockstar's list of the most frustrating Game of Thrones House of the
Mauricio,
Dragon
what's her
character?
name? The one that talks
Massaria?
Massaria.
this one. I do not like her character.
You sound like Robin Williams selling me a genie lamp. That's what
But
you
that's
sound
the
like.
way her
from
voice
Aladdin.
changes every episode. She cannot keep her accent.
Okay.
I don't like her. I love Laris. I mean, like, I love to hate him. Don't like Sir
Showed
Christian.
some real emotion in this
Yeah.
episode when he knew no one else was listening that could validate that he was getting emotional.
But, like, there's not... and the Queen, I don't know what the Aegon's wife, like where she just, I don't get her role, her having like panic attacks. It's like why she just suddenly appears in episodes for like 10 seconds, like what they're keeping that. This bird is dead. What?
She had the bugs in cages.
Yeah, it's just like what is?
Oh yeah, she exists.
She's going crazy too, but they never like we got to include her for 10 seconds of this episode. Like
they never
why?
give Helena anything to do.
Yeah, like she's always in that
there.
room picking up toys or something. Like it's just she's not doing anything. So that bugs me, and I'm done with the Damon thing. Like you could have done 2 acid trips, and I get it instead of 15.
I think we're finally done with the Damon
Yeah.
Night Terrors. I think.
Yeah.
But we'll see. I'm
I'll
sure we'll
believe it when I
start
see
off
it.
the next episode with the Damon Night Terror. We got to get one more in there. Who knows? We will see about that. And I guess it is now confirmed that the Witch of Harrenhal is actually a real being because now it's being mentioned by other characters that this is a real being. Some people had said that maybe these were just visions that Damon was having, but it seems like officially now that is something that is another piece on this very complicated board for sure. How much will dragons play into the next 2 episodes? I think very much, as we are set to see Corlys finally do something in this season. I think he's been the most underused character in the entire season thus far, Corlys. And
I
he
would agree.
puts on the badge for
Of the major characters from before, yes.
Hand of the Queen, right? I mean, that's
Yeah.
what he puts on the badge, but we've yet to see him actually take on
Advise.
that role in any way.
Has done no advising.
There's no
He
advice.
showed up to one council meeting and kind of was like,
Was
"Man,
anybody
but that's
even
it."
was anybody even in the room when he puts the pin
No,
on?
I think he's
he
by
was
himself.
completely
He
alone.
just showed up and was like,
just-
I'm the hand now.
If there's one character who I would like to see more from, it's him, and I think we're going to be seeing that for the next few episodes. John, one place where everybody can get involved. That's our title sponsor, MyBookie.
MyBookie.ag, promo code next round. You see it right there in the corner. Next round, use that when you go to MyBookie.ag. Get a first deposit bonus on us playing the sportsbook, playing the casino, play the live casino, MyBookie.ag.
Overall, we are nitpicking slightly here at House of the Dragon because I think we're all enjoying the journey for sure. The question is, how will the next 2 episodes end up landing this season that has been? It has been a fun one overall. There have been some big moments, but mainly it has been characters plotting with some questionable pacing at times to advance the story forward. I think we're going to get some action-packed episodes here for episode 7 and episode 8 of House of the Dragon. Are you watching? Let us know in the comment section below as we continue on with this recap of every single episode of House of the Dragon Season 2.